There's a truth most people spend their entire life avoiding. You're not losing because life is too hard. You're losing because your mind hasn't been trained to win. A weak mind breaks under pressure. A strong mind sharpens under pressure. And the only difference between the two is training. Not luck, not talent, not background. Most people go through life reacting to everything around them. They react to moods. They react to problems. They react to the noise of everyone else's expectations. Their mind is constantly pulled by notifications, opinions, comparison, fear, and the pressure to keep up. And without even realizing it, they stop leading their own life and start being dragged by it. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because their mind never learned how to stay steady, clear, and powerful when life becomes chaotic. The real battlefield is inside you, and you're fighting on it every single day. A mind that wins every time does not mean you never fall or never struggle. It means the struggle doesn't break you. It means setbacks don't erase you. It means discomfort doesn't scare you. It means you've trained yourself to respond with clarity, not panic, with discipline, not impulse, with strategy, not emotion. That is the difference between people who rise and people who disappear in their own potential. Winning isn't about having the perfect life. Winning is about having a trained mind inside whatever life you have. You don't build a winning life first. You build a winning mind first. When you transform the way your mind works, your decisions change, your habits change, your confidence changes, your standards get higher. You start moving differently, showing up differently, thinking differently. And when your mind changes, your life has no choice but to follow. That's why for the next 90 minutes, this isn't entertainment. This is mental engineering. You're not here to be motivated. You're here to be rebuilt. Most people wait for a strong mind to magically appear. They wait for confidence. They wait for clarity. They wait for discipline. But the mind doesn't grow on its own. It grows the same way muscle grows, through resistance, repetition, pressure, and intentional training. A mind that wins is not inherited. It is constructed. It is sharpened. It is built through habits, choices, and identity. Winning once is luck. Winning twice is skill. Winning every time is identity. The purpose of this audiobook is simple: to help you build that identity, to help you replace the old mental programming that kept you stuck, overwhelmed, distracted, and doubtful, to help you install a new system, one that produces clarity under pressure, strength during doubt, and certainty when life becomes uncertain. Your mind is programmable, but if you don't program it, the world will, and the world programs people to be overwhelmed, reactive, and exhausted. This audiobook is how you take that power back. In the next 10 chapters, you will learn the core mental skills that separate people who crumble from people who conquer. Each chapter follows a simple but transformative structure. The pain that shows you the problem, the principle that gives you the truth, the picture that makes it real, the practice that installs the behavior, the prompts that reveal your inner patterns, and the punchline that sticks with you long after the chapter ends. Your mind is the root. Your life is the fruit. When the root grows stronger, the fruit grows better. It cannot work the other way around. Everything starts inside. Your energy, your clarity, your courage, your confidence, your ability to stay calm, your ability to execute, your ability to rise after falling. These are not personality traits. They are mental muscles. And you're going to learn how to train them. This process will stretch you. It will challenge you. It will expose parts of your life you've ignored, postponed, or avoided. But it will also rebuild you into someone who can walk into any environment and stay centered, focused, and unshakable. Someone who doesn't break under pressure, but sharpens under it. Someone who doesn't run from discomfort, but grows through it. Someone who doesn't need perfect circumstances to win. Because winning comes from within. A strong mind changes how you move through the world. A trained mind changes how the world moves around you. Let's build the mind that wins every time. Chapter 1. Build unshakable clarity. Most people lose long before they start. Not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because their mind is foggy. A mind without clarity can't commit, can't decide, and can't stay consistent. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, your energy scatters, your focus weakens, and your progress collapses. Clarity isn't optional. Clarity is the foundation of a mind that wins every time. There's a reason the most successful people in any field look calm, even when everything around them is uncertain. They're not calm because their life is easier. They're calm because clarity removes confusion. Confusion drains strength. When you don't know what matters, everything feels urgent. When you don't know what you want, everything feels overwhelming. And when you don't know where you're going, every obstacle feels like a dead end instead of a detour. Clarity is not a luxury, it's survival. A blurry mind builds a blurry life. A clear mind builds a powerful one. Pain arrives the moment you realize you've been moving without direction. You wake up tired or go through the motions and end the day feeling like you didn't get closer to anything meaningful. You're busy but not progressing. You're moving but not advancing. You're trying but not building. And deep down you know it. That quiet frustration you feel at night, that's the weight of an unclear mind. That's the cost of drifting instead of directing. Clarity is difficult because it demands honesty. It requires you to stop lying to yourself. It demands you face the fact that some goals you chase aren't actually yours. It forces you to look at the parts of your life where you've been hiding, delaying, or settling. But clarity is also the beginning of freedom. Because once you know your direction, you stop trying to be everything for everyone. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. You stop living accidentally and start living deliberately. The principle is simple. Clarity is power. Lack of clarity is self-sabotage. When you know what you want, your mind becomes a laser instead of a flashlight. A flashlight spreads light everywhere. A laser cuts through anything in front of it. That's what clarity does for your life. It gives your energy direction. It turns chaos into order. It turns pressure into purpose. It turns effort into results. Picture two people running. One knows exactly where the finish line is. The other is running without any idea where they're supposed to go. They both spend energy, sweat, time, and effort. But only one of them wins. The difference isn't their speed, it's their clarity. Running faster doesn't matter when you're running in the wrong direction. When you lack clarity, everything distracts you. Small problems feel big. Small tasks feel urgent. Every notification pulls your attention. Every opinion shakes your confidence. Every setback feels permanent. Your mind becomes reactive instead of strategic, emotional instead of intentional. You don't choose your life chooses for you. But when you gain clarity, distractions lose their power. Noise stops controlling you. Your days stop feeling chaotic. You make fewer decisions, but better ones. You say no faster. You commit deeper. You move with intention instead of impulse. You stop surviving the day and start designing it. Clarity transforms your mind into a weapon, because a mind that knows its direction can't be stopped. So how do you build clarity? Not by thinking harder, not by waiting for inspiration, not by hoping life reveals the answer. Clarity must be created, and it must be created deliberately. Start with this. Define the 3 things you want most in your life right now. Not 10, not 20. 3. A mind that tries to chase too many things catches nothing. You need 3 non-negotiables. The directions your energy must obey. Once you define the 3 things you want, ask yourself why you want them. Your why is the fuel. Goals without meaning collapse under pressure. Goals with meaning survive storms. People quit not because the work is hard, but because their reasons were weak. A strong why makes a strong mind. A weak why makes a weak one. Next, write down what achieving these goals will demand from you. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing what it will cost. Every dream has a price. Every breakthrough demands sacrifice. When you identify the cost early, your mind becomes prepared. When you avoid the cost, your mind becomes fragile. Then remove what doesn't fit your path. Clarity requires subtraction. You must eliminate the tasks, relationships, habits, and distractions that dilute your direction. Not everything deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your attention. A mind that wins every time is a mind that knows what to ignore. Create a 30-day clarity plan. Not a perfect plan, a functional one. List 1 daily action that moves you toward each core goal. Clarity grows through repetition. The more you act in alignment with your direction, the stronger that direction becomes. Momentum doesn't come from giant steps. Momentum comes from deliberate, consistent steps repeated long enough to change your identity. Chapter 2. Control the first reaction. Most people lose battles that never should have belonged to the outside world. They lose them in the first reaction, the split-second moment where emotion takes over before awareness even wakes up. That moment determines whether you move with power or lose it, whether you stay centered or collapse, whether the situation remains a challenge or becomes a catastrophe. Your first reaction is the doorway between who you are and who you could be. And most people walk through the wrong door. They hear one criticism and shut down. They face one inconvenience and explode. They receive one unexpected message and spend the whole day spiraling. Their emotions take the lead and their mind becomes a passenger. Not because the situation is overwhelming, but because their reaction is untrained. A weak reaction creates a weak outcome. A strong reaction creates a strong reality. This is one of the deepest truths about human behavior. Your first reaction shapes your long-term direction. You can sabotage an opportunity in seconds. You can damage a relationship in one careless response. You can derail your progress with one emotional decision, but you can also elevate your life by mastering the very moment most people ignore. The problem is not emotion itself. Emotions are natural. Emotions are human. The problem is letting emotion make choices you must live with long after the feeling disappears. When your first reaction controls you, you sacrifice clarity, confidence, and judgment. When you control the first reaction, you unlock the space you need to see the truth, choose your response, and protect your power. Picture a pilot flying through turbulence. If he panics, everyone is in danger. If he follows training, everyone stays safe. Life gives you turbulence every day. Criticism, conflict, pressure, misunderstandings, discomfort, and your survival depends on your ability to activate training instead of panic. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control the meaning you attach to it. Meaning is the master key. Meaning shapes emotion. Emotion shapes action. Action shapes outcome. If someone criticizes you, and your first reaction interprets it as "I'm not good enough," you shrink. If you interpret it as "they're attacking me," you become defensive. If you interpret it as "this might help me improve," you grow. The moment stays the same. Only the meaning changes. But because meaning changes, your entire future changes with it. This is why mastering your first reaction is mental power at its purest form. When you choose the meaning, you choose the emotion. When you choose the emotion, you choose the action. And when you choose the action, you choose the life. So, how do you train the first reaction? Begin with the pause. A small but powerful interruption between stimulus and response. A 3-second pause can save you from hours of regret. It interrupts emotional autopilot. It disrupts the mind's tendency to overreact. It gives you space to breathe. And in that space, logic returns. Then breathe intentionally. The 4-46 breath. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Activates calm in your nervous system. It slows your heartbeat, lowers tension, and clears the fog that emotions create. Calmness is not a personality trait. Calmness is a technique. And the more you practice, the faster your mind returns to clarity. Next, ask the question that instantly resets your perspective. Is this a threat to my life, or just to my ego? Almost everything that triggers you isn't physically dangerous. It's emotionally inconvenient. It's uncomfortable. It's unexpected. But it is rarely life-threatening. Naming this truth keeps your reaction grounded. Then separate reality from imagination. When something triggers you, your mind starts building stories, assumptions, fears, interpretations that may not be true. The mind is a storyteller, and under stress it becomes a dramatic one. By identifying what is factual and what is emotional, you weaken the reaction's power over you. After that, choose a new interpretation. Instead of assuming hostility, assume misunderstanding. Instead of assuming rejection, assume distraction. Instead of assuming failure, assume feedback. Choosing a stronger interpretation does not mean ignoring reality. It means not inventing pain that isn't real. Finally, adopt the rule of delayed action. You don't speak, text, decide, or respond while emotional. You let the wave pass. You choose your timing instead of letting your emotions choose it for you. Decisions made from panic create more panic. Decisions made from calm create better outcomes. People with strong minds don't avoid emotion. They guide it. They channel it. They slow it down long enough to choose who they want to be in the moment. And because they choose who they want to be, they choose the life they want to live. Why do first reactions feel so automatic? Because your mind reacts based on old patterns, past wounds, old fears, childhood conditioning, unresolved insecurities. You're not just reacting to the present, You're reacting to a lifetime of unexamined experiences. Your mind isn't wrong. It's simply repeating what it learned. But the patterns that protected you in the past may be the same pattern sabotaging you today. To change the first reaction, you must change the pattern behind it. For 1 week, track your triggers. Every time you feel anger, fear, insecurity, jealousy, embarrassment, or defensiveness, write it down. Then write the story your mind created in that moment. You'll see the same narratives repeating over and over. And those repeating narratives are where your mental training must begin. After tracking them, start reframing them. When someone's tone is sharp, instead of reacting, ask, what else could this mean? Maybe they're tired. Maybe they miscommunicated. Maybe they rushed. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe their behavior reflects them, not you. Reframing protects your peace without denying reality. Then apply the one calm action rule. When triggered, your job is not to fix the problem instantly. Your job is to take one steady step, breathe, stay silent, ask a clarifying question, walk away, or slow your voice. Calm is not the absence of emotion. Calm is an emotion under leadership. Chapter 3. Master internal dialogue. Every day, from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you fall asleep, you're having a conversation no one else can hear. That conversation shapes your confidence, your choices, your mood, your identity, and the direction of your life. It is the quiet force guiding every decision you make. The internal voice, the running commentary, the constant stream of thoughts interpreting your world. And here is the truth most people ignore. The voice inside you is either your greatest weapon or your most destructive enemy. Some people live with an inner voice that tears them down. It criticizes every mistake. It magnifies every flaw. It reminds them of every failure. It predicts the worst possible outcome before they even begin. This voice is not truthful, but it is powerful because the mind believes what it hears repeatedly. Others have trained a different voice, one that encourages, stabilizes, directs, and strengthens them. This voice does not lie, but it refuses to exaggerate fear. It grounds them in clarity. It gives them the courage to move forward even when they doubt themselves. The difference is not personality. The difference is training. You must learn to master the voice that speaks when no one is around. The pain begins when you realize how long you've let that voice operate unchallenged. You don't choose your first thoughts, but you do choose which thoughts you feed. Most people feed the wrong ones. They feed the thoughts rooted in insecurity, comparison, fear, guilt, or past experiences. They let the inner critic grow stronger than their inner leader. And it affects everything. It affects how you walk into a room. It affects how you speak to others. It affects how you treat yourself. It affects the goals you pursue and the ones you abandon. It affects the risks you take and the fears you avoid. The internal dialogue becomes the script of your life. And the tragic thing is many people are still reciting a script written by someone who hurt them years ago. A parent, a teacher, a friend, a partner, or even a younger version of themselves who didn't know better. You cannot build a winning life with a voice that keeps telling you you're meant to lose. The principle of this chapter is simple but life-changing. The voice inside you shapes the world outside you. If you speak to yourself with limitation, you live a limited life. If you speak to yourself with strength, you live a strong life. Your internal dialogue becomes your internal identity, and identity governs behavior. Picture your mind as a room. If you never clean it, it becomes cluttered with old memories, old fears, old labels, and old narratives. You start tripping over thoughts that shouldn't even be there anymore. But when you intentionally organize it, clear it, and redesign it, the room becomes a place that supports you instead of suffocating you. Mastering internal dialogue does not mean forcing positivity. It means speaking truth to a mind in a way that guides, stabilizes, and sharpens you. It means talking to yourself the way you would talk to someone you deeply want to see succeed. So how do you rewrite the internal script? You begin with awareness. You cannot change a voice you refuse to listen to. Spend one day noticing how your thoughts speak to you when you fail, when you're stressed, when you make a mistake, when someone criticizes you, or when you try something new. You will hear patterns, defensive patterns, fearful patterns, self-doubting patterns, perfectionist patterns. Those patterns aren't your personality. They are habits, mental loops formed over years, and habits can be rewritten. Next, you identify the most common negative sentences your mind repeats. Everyone has them. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. People don't take me seriously. I'll probably fail. I don't deserve success. These thoughts feel automatic because you've rehearsed them unconsciously. The brain repeats what it's familiar with, even if the familiar is harmful. Now, rewrite each negative sentence into a stronger version. Not delusion, not empty positivity, but truth spoken with strength. I'm not good enough becomes, I'm learning and getting stronger. I always mess things up becomes, I improve every time I try. I'll probably fail becomes, I know how to get up even if I do. Internal dialogue is training. Training rewires identity. Identity rewires reality. Then practice speaking identity affirmations. Not about outcome, but about who you choose to be. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who stays calm. I am someone who learns fast. I am someone who can handle pressure. These are not fantasies. These are instructions to the brain. The brain doesn't argue. It adapts. Next, externalize your thoughts. When you feel overwhelmed, write everything down. The page becomes a mirror. What feels huge in the mind becomes manageable on paper. You see the difference between real concerns and exaggerated fears. Writing breaks the illusion that your thoughts are facts. Then, introduce the technique of identity override. When a negative thought appears, imagine the strongest version of yourself, the one with clarity, discipline, and confidence, and ask, what would that version of me say about this? That is the voice you must strengthen. That is the voice you must practice. That is the voice you must allow to lead. The more you speak from your future identity, the faster your present identity transforms. You must also stop repeating stories that keep you small. Many people hold on to old narratives. I'm shy. I'm unlucky. I'm broken. I'm not confident. I'm not disciplined. These stories might have been true once, but they don't have to be true now. When you repeat a story long enough, the mind locks into it, and your behavior follows. Rewrite the story, then repeat it until your mind believes it. Because the mind will believe anything you repeat with enough consistency. Here are your 3 prompts for this chapter. What does my inner voice say most often? Where did that voice come from? What would change if I replaced it with a voice that believes in me? Because the truth is this: You hear your voice more than you hear anyone else's. So make it a voice worth listening to. The punchline of this chapter is simple and unforgettable. When you master your internal dialogue, you no longer live life as the person you used to be. You live life as the person you're becoming. Chapter 4. Train focus like a weapon. Focus is not a talent. Focus is not luck. Focus is not something some people just have. Focus is a trained discipline, a mental muscle sharpened through repetition, protected through boundaries, and strengthened through deliberate practice. And in a world drowning in noise, the ability to focus is no longer just an advantage. It is a superpower. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because their attention is scattered. Their mind jumps between tasks, notifications, conversations, desires, impulses, and distractions without ever entering the depth required for meaningful progress. They work but not deeply. They try but not consistently. They move but in circles instead of forward. A distracted mind cannot build a disciplined life. A focused mind becomes unstoppable. The pain begins when you realize how often your attention gets stolen. You sit down to work, but your phone buzzes. You start a task, but your mind wanders. You plan your day, but your energy dissolves into 1,000 small interruptions. You aren't lazy, you're overwhelmed. You aren't unfocused, you're unprotected. Your mind is not weak, it is overloaded. And overloaded minds break, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack boundaries. Focus requires protection. Focus requires intention. Focus requires elimination. Because real focus is not about doing more. It's about removing everything that doesn't matter, so the mind becomes a laser instead of a flashlight. Picture a room with 10 doors. If all of them are open, people walk in and out all day, bringing noise, clutter, and distraction. That is what your mind feels like when you don't set boundaries. But when you close 9 of those doors and leave one open, you control the flow. You decide what gets in. You decide what gets ignored. That is focus. Controlled access to your mental energy. The principle of this chapter is clear. Focus isn't found. Focus is protected. Your job isn't to chase focus. Your job is to remove what kills it. So, what destroys focus? Notifications, multitasking, overthinking, open loops, clutter, disorganization, unclear priorities, emotional noise, digital overload, trying to do everything instead of doing the essential. Each of these steals a small piece of your attention until you have nothing meaningful left to give. And the tragedy is most people don't realize it's happening because distraction feels normal in the modern world. But normal doesn't mean healthy. Normal doesn't mean useful. Normal doesn't mean optimal. To train focus like a weapon, you must build systems that defend your mind from the chaos around it. Start with deep work, 1 protected block of uninterrupted concentration every day. 90 minutes is ideal. 60 minutes is enough. Even 30 minutes can rebuild the foundation. During this time, your phone is gone. Your notifications are silent. Your environment is clear and your attention is pointed toward one important task. Not 5, not 3. 1. Depth is where mastery happens. Depth is where progress compounds. Depth is where identity evolves. You rise when you train your mind to stay. Then simplify your environment. Your physical space mirrors your mental space. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind. A chaotic room creates a chaotic mood. Remove visual noise. Keep only what helps you work. The fewer items competing for your attention, the easier it becomes to control your focus. Next, choose one must-complete task for each day. Not a list of 10, not a scattered list of minor chores, but one essential action that moves your life forward. When you simplify your priorities, you increase your power. Your mind sharpens when it knows exactly what to accomplish. Then eliminate noise. Turn off notifications. Put your phone in another room. Use airplane mode. Your phone is not just a device. It is a portal to thousands of people pulling on your attention. You cannot train focus while allowing the world to interrupt you every few minutes. After that, practice mental redirection. Every time your mind drifts, and it will gently pull it back, not with frustration, but with discipline. Focus is the ability to return your attention to the target again and again until returning becomes automatic, and commit to mental fasting. This means intentionally reducing the amount of information you consume, scrolling less, checking less, absorbing less. The brain cannot focus when it's overstimulated. The mind cannot go deep when it's drowning in input. Give your brain space. Give your thoughts room. Give your attention a chance to recover. But focus is not only practical, it is emotional. You cannot focus deeply when you're stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. The emotional noise becomes mental static. To clear it, practice the 30-second grounding technique. Breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, and ask, what matters right now? This question pulls your mind back into the moment and away from the mental fog. Chapter 5. Build mental endurance. Every mind wants strength. Every person wants resilience. Everyone wants to be the one who keeps going when others quit, who stays steady when life becomes chaotic, who rises when everything feels heavy. But wanting strength and building strength are not the same thing. Mental endurance does not appear magically. It does not grow in comfort. It is forged in resistance, in challenge, in moments where giving up feels easier than continuing. And here is the truth many people avoid. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you stop too soon. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They quit when the progress slows down. They quit when discomfort becomes constant. They quit when the excitement fades and the grind begins. They quit because the mind prefers ease over effort, comfort over challenge, immediate pleasure over long-term growth. The mind tells them this is too hard, or you're not built for this, or maybe this isn't the right time. But the mind is not the authority. The mind is the student, and endurance is the curriculum that trains it. The pain of this chapter begins with an uncomfortable realization. You've been conditioned to avoid discomfort. You've been taught to escape difficulty, seek shortcuts, and desire results without wanting the process. From a young age, you were rewarded for what was easy, not what was hard. And so, the moment something feels heavy, your mind interprets it as danger instead of development. But discomfort isn't danger. Discomfort is data. Discomfort is growth. Discomfort is the signal that you're expanding beyond your previous limits. Mental endurance means you stop treating discomfort as a stop sign and start treating it as a doorway. It means you stop collapsing under pressure and start breathing through it. It means you stop giving your emotions permission to dictate your effort. The principle of this chapter is one sentence: comfort kills progress. Discomfort builds endurance. Every strong mind you admire, athletes, leaders, creators, entrepreneurs, warriors, learn to become comfortable being uncomfortable. They trained their mind to keep moving even when the body felt tired, the heart felt discouraged, or the path felt long. Mental endurance is not a trait. It is a training system. So how do you build it? You begin with micro-resilience, the small daily choices that strengthen your ability to tolerate discomfort. This might be waking up early even when you feel tired, finishing a task even when it's boring, holding yourself to your commitments even when motivation disappears. Every time you push through a moment you don't want to face, you grow. Every time you choose disciplines over impulse, you grow. Every time you stay consistent when your emotions try to pull you away, you grow. These moments feel small, but they accumulate. They shape your identity. They reinforce the belief that you can handle more than you think. Then practice intentional discomfort. This doesn't mean seeking pain for no reason. It means choosing small challenges that stretch your tolerance. A cold shower, a tough workout, a difficult conversation, a task you've been avoiding, sitting in silence without reaching for your phone. Each of these actions teaches your mind a powerful lesson. I can feel discomfort and still stay in control. Most people have never felt the strength available in them because they've never allowed themselves to face enough resistance to activate it. Endurance is activated by friction, not ease. Next, understand emotional fatigue. The reason you quit isn't always because the task is hard. It's because your emotional endurance is low. You get tired of feeling uncertain, tired of feeling slow, tired of feeling behind, tired of feeling imperfect, tired of feeling uncomfortable. Emotional fatigue is what fractures consistency, not physical fatigue. To build emotional endurance, you must separate emotions from actions. You may feel tired and still show up. You may feel discouraged and still take the next step. You may feel fear and still move forward. Endurance means you act based on standards, not emotions. Then adopt the 15-minute rule. When you feel like quitting, commit to 15 more minutes. Not 3 hours, not a whole day, just 15 minutes. This is long enough to break the emotional impulse to stop, but short enough to feel doable. Often, once you pass the emotional threshold, your mind stabilizes and your effort continues naturally. After that, learn the skill of strategic slowdown. Endurance does not mean sprinting until you collapse. It means managing your energy with intelligence. Slow down when needed, but don't stop. Take a breath when overwhelmed, but don't abandon the mission. Endurance is not about intensity. It is about longevity. You must also track your victories. Not the big ones, the small ones. The days you didn't want to work, but worked anyway. The moments you didn't react emotionally. The nights you stayed committed when motivation was gone. These small victories reinforce the identity of someone who persists. And identity is the engine of endurance. But the deepest truth of this chapter is this. Your mind breaks before your body does, and your mind lies about how tired you really are. Chapter 6. Reprogram your belief system. Your belief system is the invisible architecture of your life. It is the set of internal rules, assumptions, interpretations, and expectations that determine how you see yourself, how you see the world, and what you believe is possible for you. You act according to your beliefs. You limit yourself according to your beliefs. You rise or fall according to your beliefs. Everything you attempt in life, every risk, every relationship, every dream, every decision is filtered through this internal framework. And here is the truth most people refuse to confront. You can never outperform the identity you believe you have. If you believe you're not good enough, you will sabotage success. If you believe you're unlucky, you will overlook opportunity. If you believe you're destined to fail, you will avoid trying. If you believe you're meant to stay small, you will never step into your potential. Your life cannot expand beyond the size of your belief system. Most people live with beliefs they never chose. Beliefs inherited from childhood. Beliefs absorbed from parents, teachers, and culture. Beliefs shaped by old pain and old failures. Beliefs formed during moments when they felt powerless or misunderstood. These beliefs were never examined, only accepted. And without awareness, they become permanent mental laws. But beliefs are not facts. Beliefs are stories. And every story can be rewritten. The pain of this chapter begins when you realize how many of your limitations are self-created. They don't come from the world. They come from a version of you that no longer exists. A younger you, a scared you, a wounded you, a confused you. You're living with beliefs built for a past you've already outgrown. These beliefs sabotaged your confidence, restricted your ambition, and made you question your worth. They shaped your behavior in ways you thought were just who I am, when in reality, they were simply old programs running on autopilot. To change your life, you must update the code. To update the code, you must reprogram the belief system. The principle of this chapter is profound. Your beliefs are not reflections of truth. They are reflections of repetition. What you repeat, you believe. What you believe, you become. Picture your mind as a computer. If the operating system is outdated, no matter how many new applications you install, everything will run slowly, glitch, or crash. Your belief system is your mental operating system. If it is outdated, built from fear, insecurity, or old pain, your actions will always malfunction, no matter how hard you try. So, how do you reprogram the beliefs that limit you? You begin with exposure. The moment you shine a light on the beliefs that hide in the dark, write down the statements you say to yourself most often when you feel stuck, scared, or uncertain. I don't think I can do this. I'm not the type of person who succeeds. Things don't work out for me. I'm always behind. I'm not smart enough, strong enough, capable enough. These sentences are not your truth. They are your programming. Once you see them, you strip them of their authority. You ask, where did this belief come from? Who taught me this? When did I first accept this? Why do I still carry it? Most limiting beliefs entered your mind before you were even old enough to question them. Now that you're older, stronger, wiser, and more aware, you must question what you once blindly accepted. Next, identify the contradiction, the evidence in your life that proves the belief is false. If you believe you're incapable, find moments where you overcame something difficult. If you believe you're unworthy, find people who valued you. If you believe you always fail, find your victories. The mind needs evidence to shift, and your life already contains the proof. Then rewrite the belief, but not with blind positivity, with grounded strength. I'm not good enough becomes I'm still growing. I always fail becomes I learn quickly. I don't deserve success becomes I am building the identity that earns success. I can't handle pressure becomes I've handled pressure before, and I can do it again. This is not delusion. This is alignment. This is leadership over your own mind. Now practice identity-first behavior. Small, consistent actions that reinforce the new belief. If your new belief is "I am capable," you complete tasks that prove capability. If your new belief is "I am disciplined," you follow through on commitments. If your new belief is "I can handle challenges," you intentionally lean into discomfort. Action solidifies belief. Belief strengthens identity. Identity creates momentum. Then speak your beliefs aloud, not once, repeatedly. The brain absorbs what it hears. Often words create neurological pathways. Every time you affirm your new identity, you reinforce the path you want your mind to follow. But the deepest part of belief reprogramming happens when you stop revisiting the past identity altogether. You stop saying, "I've always been like this." You stop defending your limitations. You stop clinging to old narratives because they feel familiar. Familiar does not mean true. Familiar does not mean useful. You stop identifying with the old story, and you start identifying with the new one. The strongest minds rewrite themselves from the inside out. To reinforce your new belief system, practice the 3-step daily ritual. Truth. Write one sentence about who you are becoming. Action. Do one task that proves it. Repetition. Repeat the identity aloud. Chapter 7. Make decisions without hesitation. Every turning point in your life began with a decision. A moment when you said yes, when you said no, when you chose to stay, when you chose to leave, when you accepted an opportunity, when you walked away from one. Your entire life is the sum of the choices you've made. And the life you want, the future you imagine, depends on the choices you have yet to make. But most people don't struggle with making the right decision. They struggle with deciding at all. They hesitate. They overthink. They delay. They wait for certainty that never comes. They wait for fear to disappear, for clarity to magically appear, for timing to feel perfect. They wait so long that life moves on without them. And here is the truth no one wants to admit. Hesitation steals more dreams than failure ever will. Every time you hesitate, your confidence weakens. Every time you delay, your identity shrinks. Every time you overthink, momentum dissolves. Opportunities don't disappear. You drift away from them. Life rewards the decisive, not the hesitant. The pain of this chapter reveals itself when you recognize how many chances you've lost because you hesitated. Messages you didn't send, ideas you didn't start, risks you didn't take, boundaries you didn't set, conversations you avoided, opportunities you waited too long to accept. Not because you couldn't do it, but because you didn't decide. The principle of this chapter is simple, sharp, and uncompromising. Speed is a mindset. Decisiveness is a skill. Confidence is a consequence. People who win consistently are not the ones who always make the perfect choice. They are the ones who make clear choices quickly, then adjust intelligently. Decisiveness builds momentum. Momentum builds clarity. Clarity builds confidence, and confidence makes future decisions easier. It is a cycle, and hesitation is the force that breaks it. Picture two people standing at a crossroads. One chooses quickly, moves forward, gains feedback, adjusts, and grows. The other waits for perfection, overanalyzes options, imagines every worst-case scenario, and ends up exhausted without moving an inch. One becomes experienced, the other becomes stuck. One improves through motion, the other declines through stagnation. You cannot think your way into a better life. You must decide your way into it. So how do you train decisiveness? Start by reducing the emotional weight of decisions. Most choices are not life or death. They are simply steps. Steps that give you information. When you remove the drama from the decision, fear loses power. You stop trying to make the perfect choice and instead focus on making a strategic one. Next, practice the 5-second rule of action. The moment your mind identifies something you should do, you count down from 5 and move before hesitation steals the moment. Action interrupts doubt. Movement interrupts overthinking. When you act before the brain creates fear, you take control of your internal system. Then simplify your choices. People hesitate because they treat every decision as equally important. But not all choices carry the same weight. Most are reversible. Most can be corrected. Most are simply experiments. When you stop treating every choice like a catastrophe waiting to happen, you begin deciding with more ease and clarity. You must also eliminate perfection as a requirement. Perfection is the enemy of decisiveness. Perfection demands certainty before movement. Decisiveness demands movement before certainty. The strongest minds understand that clarity comes after action, not before it. After that, upgrade your self-trust. Hesitation is often the symptom of mistrusting yourself. You don't trust your judgment. You don't trust your ability to recover. You don't trust your resilience if you make a mistake. But confidence is built by deciding, acting and surviving the outcome, not by avoiding the outcome altogether. Another key is limiting your options. Too many choices create paralysis. Reduce your choices to 2 clear paths. The option that aligns with your identity and the option that doesn't. When you judge decisions based on identity instead of fear, the path becomes obvious. Then adopt the rule of alignment. If a choice strengthens you, it's the right choice. If it weakens you, it's the wrong one. Most decisions become easy when you filter them through strength instead of comfort. You must also separate fear from danger. Fear is emotional. Danger is real. Confusing the two leads to hesitation. Most decisions you fear are not dangerous. They're unfamiliar. The mind resists the unfamiliar because the unfamiliar threatens the ego. But the ego is not your guide. The ego is your cage. To train decisiveness at a deeper level, practice micro-decisions. Small, low-stakes choices made quickly and confidently. What time to wake up? What task to start first? What habit to prioritize? Each small decision is a repetition that strengthens the muscle of speed, clarity, and action. Chapter 8. Turn failures into data. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is not the end. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is information. Raw, unfiltered, emotionally uncomfortable information. And if you learn to interpret it correctly, failure becomes one of the most powerful tools in your mental arsenal. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they misinterpret failure. They think failure means stop. They think failure means you're not good enough. They think failure means this isn't meant for you. But none of that is true. Failure does not define you. Failure reveals you. It reveals your weaknesses. It reveals your habits. It reveals your blind spots. It reveals the parts of you that must evolve before you can rise. It reveals the skills you still need to develop. Failure is a mirror, not a verdict. The pain of failure doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the meaning you attach to it. Two people can experience the exact same setback. One uses it as fuel. The other uses it as evidence to quit. The difference isn't what happened. The difference is their interpretation. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't grow because they run from the very information that would help them grow. Failure hurts. Yes, it stings the ego, it exposes insecurities, it challenges identity, it demands humility. But those who master success are the ones who learn to sit with the discomfort long enough to extract the lesson. Failure is not a punishment. Failure is preparation. The principle of this chapter is one line. Failure is feedback. Only the untrained mind takes it personally. Picture a GPS system recalculating. When you take a wrong turn, the GPS doesn't say you're a failure or you're hopeless or you'll never reach your destination. It simply adjusts the route. Failure is the same. It's a recalculation, a signal that a different approach, mindset, or strategy is required. Failure becomes dangerous only when you turn it into a story about who you are instead of what you did. So, how do you turn failure into data? First, remove the emotion from the event. Emotion clouds interpretation. When something goes wrong, take a breath, pause, and separate the facts from the feelings. The fact is what happened. The feeling is your reaction. Growth begins when you stop confusing the two. Next, perform a post-failure analysis, a 10-minute breakdown that turns the experience into usable information. Ask yourself, what part went well? What part went wrong? What did I overlook? What skill was missing? What assumption was incorrect? What can I do differently next time? This process rebuilds control. This process restores clarity. This process strengthens identity. Then search for the pattern. Failure is rarely random. It often repeats in the same areas. Relationships, discipline, consistency, communication, planning, or emotional regulation. When you identify the pattern, you identify the root. And when you identify the root, you unlock transformation. After that, remove shame from the equation. Shame is the enemy of learning. Shame makes you hide. Shame makes you pretend. Shame stops you from analyzing the failure honestly. You cannot grow from what you refuse to see. Replace shame with curiosity. Replace self-blame with self-discovery. Then redirect your energy. Failure often tempts people to freeze, shut down, or withdraw. But you must move even if slowly. A small action taken after failure rewires the brain faster than reflection alone. Movement proves to your mind that you are bigger than the setback. Another key is reframing. Instead of saying I failed, say I got data. Instead of saying this didn't work, say this approach didn't work. Instead of saying I'm not ready, say now I know what readiness requires. Language shapes identity. Identity shapes action. Action shapes results. To go deeper, you must dismantle the belief that successful people avoid failure. The truth is the opposite. Successful people fail more because they try more. They learn faster because they confront failure sooner. They win bigger because they interpret failure better. They've trained their mind to see failure as a teacher. And when you adopt this mindset, failure stops being frightening. It becomes familiar, not comfortable, but familiar, and familiarity removes fear. You must also isolate the version of you that failed. Who were you in that moment? What did you know? What didn't you know? What emotional state were you in? When you separate your current identity from your past performance, the shame dissolves and the lesson becomes clear. Chapter 9. Strengthen your identity. Identity is the hidden engine of human behavior. It is the quiet force that controls what you attempt, what you avoid, what you tolerate, what you repeat, and what you believe you deserve. Most people try to change their habits, their routines, their mindset, their discipline. But they never change the identity that drives all of it. And without identity shift, no change is permanent. You act according to who you believe you are, even when that belief is outdated, limiting, or completely false. If you believe you're inconsistent, you'll sabotage consistency. If you believe you're not disciplined, you'll avoid discipline. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll push away opportunities. If you believe you always mess up, you'll behave in ways that confirm it. Identity is not a description. Identity is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And here is the truth most people never realize. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Your identity creates your patterns. Your patterns create your habits. Your habits create your outcomes. So if you want a life that looks different, you must become someone who behaves differently. Not for a day, not for a week, but at the level of identity. The pain begins when you acknowledge how many of your current behaviors are driven by a past identity you no longer want. You're living with stories written years ago. Stories about not being good enough, not being capable, not being confident, not being worthy, not being talented, not being the type of person who succeeds. But these stories are not destiny. These stories are leftovers, and leftovers don't belong in a future you're trying to build. Identity is elastic. It can stretch, evolve and strengthen, but only if you do it intentionally. The principle of this chapter is this: identity is a choice, not a prison. Most people don't know this. They think identity is fixed like height or eye color. But identity is formed through